So I remember finding the first Simple Favour movie just fine. Blake Lively was strutting around in fashionable clothes, it's kind of what she does. Anna Kendrick was being the mousy, awkward friend, also kind of what she does. We got bonus Henry Golding, and I was like, you know what? I know what I'm getting here. This is kind of a Desperate Housewives, you know, the old TV series meets Budget Gone Girl, and it's fine. Anyway, so my expectations were kind of managed going into this one, but you guys, what did I just watch? This movie is bad. Don't believe the people who tell you that it's campy and funny bad. No, it's just bad, objectively speaking. But at least we got some pretty scenery, and Alice and Janie, who thought maybe that it would be fun to get an easy check and hang out on the island of Capri. And even that, like, it wasn't great. Anyway, onto the video. Stephanie is on Capri vlogging to her followers, and she's under house arrest at this time. She says that she wants to be very clear that she did not kill Emily's husband. This is going to be Emily's future husband, not Sean. So we're going to go back in time and then see how the story unfolds until we get to how she ended up under house arrest in Europe, of all places. A few days ago, Stephanie dropped off her son at summer camp, and he was going to be there for a month. And around this time, she also had a book coming out about Emily. She's some kind of crime writer now, but she's been off social media for a while, and she really needs to get back out there in order to drum up publicity for her book. So she has this reading publicity event, and guess who shows up? Fresh out of prison in Louboutins and severely uncombed hair. Emily. She tells Stephanie that she's getting married, and she asks Stephanie to be her maid of honor at her wedding. We know right away that there are sinister vibes here because she's overly friendly, and on the one hand, she knows that Stephanie can't really resist her. On the other, she knows that Stephanie needs the PR because her book is, well, it has been struggling. If that isn't enough, she throws out a threat of a lawsuit as she leaves. Remember, Stephanie has used Emily's likeness and her story for her book without express permission from Emily herself. So Emily says that she'll sue Stephanie if she doesn't play along. So of course the wedding is in Capri, and Emily is marrying into wealth, like private jet mob connections level wealth. By the way, can we just stop and focus for a minute on this gangster getup that Blake has got going on? Because it's a lot. And just to kind of go off on the tangent, like Blake is very statuesque and gorgeous, but I sometimes have this feeling that the clothes tend to wear her. Like sometimes the outfit is trying so hard that it seems like she's playing dress up a little bit, and it doesn't feel like her character or even her genuine style. Like it feels very, very loud, and it's trying too hard. And I know a lot of people enjoyed her wardrobe in this movie, but I think that the problem is it felt very costumey and not like interesting, eccentric, rich lady style, you know? Anyway. Emily tells Stephanie that her son Nick has been with Sean, and he hasn't brought the kid to visit her in prison once, so she has a couple of axes to grind. You know, in the first movie, I never got the sense that Emily really cared for Nicky. I would have liked her to be the kind of psychopath who had one redeeming quality that was, you know, the love for her son, I guess, but yeah, no, I didn't buy it. Anyway, we get to meet Emily's new husband, Dante. He's not new. He and Emily had a dalliance in her 20s. He recently saw her on the news, and then that's how they reconnected, and he used his connections to get her out of jail with his very high-powered attorneys. So remember when Emily was sentenced to 20 years in jail in the last movie? This was really highly publicized because Stephanie was chronicling the whole thing on her mom vlog. So Stephanie smells a rat already, and she goes to search for Dante online, but he has no online presence. By the way, this is the guy from the 365 movie. He's kind of smarmy, and I know this whole storyline is because of her wedding to him, but he's just the least important character in this whole thing. He's even less important than Sean. These poor guys, they're just irrelevant plot devices. Nicky and Sean are at the wedding as well, and Stephanie and Sean have a moment to talk, and Sean's very cynical. He calls the whole thing a farce, and Sean's always been a really odd character. I think, you know, he had one novel that did really well, but he was never really able to write like that again, so he was labeled a failed novelist. But it's not like he was some kind of waste man, you know, he worked at the university. And also in the first movie, you see a woman pretty much fawning all over him, especially his TA, who Emily says they had a threesome with. I guess he's just an extremely handsome but dull man. Even his hooking up with Stephanie didn't come across as cheating husband, and more like, well, she was around and they were getting close, busy both moving on from Emily. The cheating wasn't salacious at all, so when the woman ganged up on him over the cheating in the end, it was just like, nah, it felt like a bit of an overreaction, to be honest. None of them seemed to care for him much to begin with, so he and Stephanie sarcastically toast to this wedding that they've both been roped into, and he tells Stephanie that the only thing that they had in common was that they were both obsessed with Emily. And he says that Emily is poison and not to trust her for a second. Yeah, no kidding, Sean. Stephanie tries to do some vlogging at the wedding, but she's like suddenly accosted by armed guards wanting to shut it all down. Obviously, there are members of the mob there, allegedly, so photos can't be taken. And then, Emily has been kind of secretive about her past, and she has no family at this wedding. Well, Dante's mother, so Emily's mother-in-law, arranged for Emily's mother and aunt to come to the wedding as a surprise. Emily's mother causes a bit of a scene. She has an outburst because, she's mentally unwell. She calls her daughter a disgusting demon. She also seems to be having religious delusions, and I think she also called Emily the wrong name at a certain point. Anyway, they shuffle her off. Then Sean has an outburst saying that Emily ruined his life and he's going for sole custody of his son, Nicky. Although, he's fairly unstable. I don't know if that's the best thing for the kid. Sean is not doing well. He seems kind of checked out and coming apart at the seams. He's drinking a little bit too much, but he's ultimately toothless. Later in the shower, he's furiously masturbating and he's unable to even do that. And he takes a swig of whiskey in frustration. Just then, a shadowy figure appears and injects something into his finger, and he starts bleeding out of his orifices. And then he falls over and dies. Emily and Stephanie have an evening at the pool together, and Emily booked this private time away for just the two of them. There's always this, kind of lesbian vibe between them, but it's really not. Emily just kind of flirts in a way with everyone, and Stephanie is a people pleaser, so, that's the dynamic. I think it's supposed to be some kind of mysterious, sexy cat and mouse thing, but I don't know. Anna Kendrick's quirky, awkward vibe is just too awkward for this to really work, and the chemistry is just off. And of course, Blake Lively is just Blake Lively. I don't know, it's very difficult to explain that she's herself, but at the same time, she's trying really hard to have this cunty personality, and you can see the effort in it. Ugh. Later, Stephanie and the housekeeper discover Sean's body, naked, bleeding, and lifeless in the shower. The investigators are already ruling this an accidental death, and Stephanie tries to question this because people don't just bleed out of their orifices like that. But the police brush her off as a typical American woman obsessed with true crime, and they know how to do their jobs. The next morning, Stephanie follows Emily as she leaves the hotel in the world's largest hat, and Emily is going on some suspicious-looking errands, meeting with her aunt. Turns out someone is also following Stephanie, an FBI agent. The literal worst FBI agent ever in the world, because Stephanie was able to clock her. This terrible FBI agent says that she's investigating the aunt, Emily's aunt, because she's suspicious. Then Dante spots the two of them and he gets a little bit hostile. This is silly. It's a pointless scene. I'm moving on because it doesn't amount to anything. Emily and Dante eventually get married because I guess that's what we're all here for. And surprisingly, the wedding goes off without any theatrics. Wait, no, I spoke too soon. Dante literally tortures his prenup at the reception, and Stephanie makes an absolute disaster speech for a toast, and at the reception everyone's just looking sketchy and whispering in corners and whatnot, and Stephanie's spidey senses are tingling, so she goes into some kind of corners and she's spying on people, and she witnesses Dante getting shot and killed by an unknown assailant. Yes, Dante gets shot at his own wedding. Dante's mother initially thinks that it's Emily who has something to do with this, because that would mean that she now has access to all of his fortune and all of his power, because he's tore up the the prenup, so she has motive. But then somehow the suspicion kind of falls onto Stephanie, and this ends up being why she's under house arrest, for suspicion of murder. I'm not sure if it's for Sean's murder or Dante's murder, either or both, I don't know. It'll make sense in a minute, just bear with me. Anyway, her phone and her passport are also taken away from her, and Emily comes in then wearing all black lace. She's a widow in mourning, and she says that she kind of added to the police's suspicions about Stephanie by telling them that the night of Sean's murder, Stephanie, was late to their pool date, which gives her a window of time to have been able to commit that murder. She had opportunity. Of course, this is a lie, and then plot twist. This is not Emily after all. Remember last season, you remember last movie, Emily was actually a triplet, and the one died but didn't really. Well, this one, Faith, makes it seem like Stephanie, oh God. Okay. What we need to know is that one of the triplets is impersonating Emily, and this triplet attacks Stephanie, but then makes it seem as though Stephanie attacked her to make her appear more unstable to the police and the people around, and more guilty. But eventually Emily is also able to escape house arrest. She manages to sneak out, so also just kind of pointless. Stephanie goes to meet this terrible FBI agent lady who is meant to take her to a safe house, but the FBI agent gets stabbed and Emily is left holding the knife. So she's being framed again. Aunt Linda, meanwhile, smothers Emily's mother to death. I forgot why, sorry. I think she was asking too many questions, maybe? Don't know. She was a loose end. So remember the FBI agent was stabbed when she was meeting up with Stephanie? Well, Stephanie is then taken to a basement and she's tied up. Dante's mother comes out and injects her with truth serum, and then Stephanie reveals everything about Emily being a triplet and that whole storyline. Just as Dante's family is about to kill her, Emily comes in and she saves her. Although we can't be sure that it's Emily. Stephanie is also as suspicious as we are. But Emily reminds Stephanie that she slept with her half-brother, who might be the father of her child. Oh my goodness, remember that storyline from the first movie? Her half-brother was so hot, oh my goodness. And unfortunately, Anna Kendrick had smoking chemistry with him. I guess, even though they didn't have a lot of scenes together, but I guess that was the point, their hot and taboo attraction to one another. Anyway, I'm going to TLDR the next bit because it's really boring. It turns out that Dante was actually gay and Emily was acting as his beard. He was actually in love with the family friend from the other mob family who was always hanging around. It also turns out that Emily's triplet is in love with her, like proper romance in love. Yes, she drugged Emily and kind of took over her persona, and it's been her Charity this whole time. I don't know what's up with this movie and sibling romances. Yeah. So the aunt and the psycho sister Charity hold Emily's son, Nicky, at gunpoint. This kid is remarkably calm about all of this, by the way. But yeah, it turns out that, oh God, this is so irritating. It turns out that obviously Charity, the twin, the evil twin, is the one who married Dante and not Emily, because she was the one who was at the ceremony, and she's the one who's going to get the money, be the head of the mob family with her aunt. But the aunt is really exploiting Charity, really. This is like the longest hostage situation in history. There's no tension. I can see that the gun is fake from here. And even Alison Janey cannot get me to enjoy this. Charity ends up saving the day by stopping her aunt from shooting Emily because, you know, they're each other's soulmates. The twins kiss. Emily is kind of pretending to be on the twins' side while disarming her, and then Charity pushes the aunt over the cliff. Emily uses her twin's obsession with her to get her to go to jail because, I mean, she did commit several murders. Emily goes into hiding and she asks Stephanie to raise her son so that he doesn't end up as screwed up as she and the rest of the family are. I guess this is meant to be the ultimate sacrifice, putting her son first. But remember, I didn't think she cared about the son that much anyway. So the gesture is kind of eh. So the two women become genuine friends, I guess. In the end, Emily meets Dante's mom, and the mom agrees to keep Emily's whereabouts a secret. Anyway, she forgives Emily because she says that she knew that she wouldn't hurt Dante, but I mean, her son is still dead because of Emily. And she says, well, I welcome you into the family. She hands Emily an envelope and she's like, I need to ask you a simple favor. And oh my God, are we going to get a third movie? Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's a movie. To be fair, I would still watch a third movie because I love a mess. Anyway, there were a couple of people who said that there were some laughing moments in this movie. Please, can you tell me where? Because I don't know. Anyway, it was bad, but I survived it.